Okay, now that we've created an actor, given it some artwork and added it to our game, we now need to create a scene, think of it as a backdrop or a setting for our actor to do whatever it is our actor is going to do. So to create that backdrop, I'm going to click on Scenes, and then I'll click on this to add a new one. And we'll just call it Scene 1 to keep things simple. And continuing to keep it simple, we'll just leave it as a solid color of white. You could choose another color if you want. So now what's going to come up is the scene editor, and we'll cover what all the various tools and settings are in a future tutorials. But for now, we just want to add our actor to the scene. So I'm going to come over here, click on Actors, and it will give me a list of all the actors I have in the game. And I'm going to click on Blocky to let it know I want to add Blocky to the scene. And as I move my mouse over, you'll see it's dragging a Blocky around with my mouse. Now when I get to the place where I want to place him, I'll just click once and let go, and there we go. And if you notice, I could add multiple versions of Blocky if I wanted to, but I just want to have one Blocky at this point. So that's all we're going to do in scenes for now. So I'll go up to File, and I'll save my game. I'll close up the Scene tab, and now I'll move on to the next thing we need to do. We've created a game, we've created an actor, we've given the actor some artwork, and then now we've added that actor to a scene. The next thing we need to do is we have to tell the game what to do, how to make the actor do things in the game. So for example, if I want to move Blocky around, I'm going to use the arrow keys, and I need to tell the game how to sense the fact that the player has pressed an arrow key, and then I have to tell it how to move Blocky around depending on what key I've pressed. So I'm going to go to Actor Behaviors and click here to create a new one, and we'll just call this Blocky code. We're going to attach this code to the actor Blocky, and this will include all the code that Blocky will have to do various things throughout the game. Now over here on this side, this is all the various bits of code that I can add to this screen right here that let me outline what Blocky should be checking for and how he should react to the user input or any other input that happens throughout the game. So to start, we're just going to click on Add Event. I'm going to go to a basic event, and I'm going to choose When Updating. And what this does is this creates kind of a loop that is running constantly. As the game is sitting there playing, doing whatever, it's always going through this loop, and the loop means everything in this bracket. So, and it's constantly checking for events, something happening, and once it finds something it should be checking for, it's going to execute some code that tells Blocky what to do. So the first thing we want to do is, if we're going to check to see if a key is being pressed down, we want to choose an if. So I'm going to bring this over here, and what this will do now is we're telling it to check for a certain condition, and if that condition is true, anything inside this bracket will be executed. So the next step is to say, okay, what are we checking for? So we're going to check for user input. And if I click on user input, I can see one of the options here is under keyboard if a control is down. And a control is just one of the built-in key functions that Stencyl has. So now I'm going to click on control. I'm going to say, okay, choose a control. And these are the left arrow, the down arrow, the right arrow, the up arrow, and then the action keys and the enter key. We're going to check to see if the right arrow key has been pressed. So I'll choose that and say OK. Now over here I can check three things. I could see if the right arrow key is being pressed down, if it was pressed, meaning the user pressed it and let go, or if it was released. And we'll cover that in more detail later, but for now we're going to choose if it's down. So here's the condition we're checking for. And an if basically checks to see if something is true or false. It's what's called a Boolean. There's no number value, it's either true or false. So if it's true, we got to tell it what to do. So we're going to go over here to actor, going to go to actor motion, and we're going to set the velocity of our actor. The velocity is the direction and speed. So if you notice that these things I'm dragging over, they're like puzzle pieces. And I can tell that this piece will fit into this slot because of the way it's shaped. So I'll set that in there. Now the way it chooses direction is by degrees. Straight right is 0 degrees. Straight down is 90 degrees. Straight left is 180 degrees. Straight up is 270 degrees. And then you could choose any degree in that range. So we're going to say, because we're moving right, we're just going to say move 0 degrees. And we'll choose a speed of, let's say 25 for self. And whenever you see that term self, that means it's referring to the actor Blocky. So you don't have to worry about keeping track of what names and what actors you're using. As long as we attach this code to the actor Blocky, anytime the computer sees self in there, it knows to enact that code on the actor that it's attached to. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is, what if they press the left arrow key? So we're going to choose an otherwise if, and we're going to slip that right in there. So it's still within the always bracket, but it's another separate code bracket from the first if we added. So the reason we chose otherwise if is because as this code is looping constantly, it's going to first check this if statement, and it's going to see if the right arrow is down. If the right arrow key is not down, it's going to move on down here and say otherwise if, and it's going to check the next one. So we'll go to user input, add another control down, and we'll change this to left, which is already highlighted. Click OK, and I'll go back to the actor, go to motion, which is already selected, and drag another set velocity over. And this time, because he's going left, it's going to be 180 degrees, and we'll say speed of 25 again. So you get the idea. So I'm going to do the same thing for the other two directions real quickly, just to save time. And then we'll attach that to the actor when we're done. Choose control, we'll choose down this time. Say OK. Go to actor, set velocity. This time it's going to be 90 degrees. Speed of 25. And we'll do another otherwise if. And we'll add the remaining control in, which is the up key. Control, up. Now up is going to be 270 degrees. And there we have it. So now the last thing we have to do is what should Blocky do if the if no key is pressed? What's going to happen is it's going to continue on with the last command. So if you press right, it's going to send Blocky in the direction of 0 degrees at a speed of 25, and then when the player lets go of the right key, if another instruction is not given saying to stop, it's going to keep going to the right. So we're going to add one more check at the bottom, just called an otherwise. And this is kind of a default or a catch-all. So if none of these things is occurring, if none of these keys are pressed, we want Blocky to stop. So stop would be, you could say any direction, but we'll say 0 at a speed of 0. And then I make sure that when no key is pressed down, Blocky will stop. So let's save that. And now we need to attach it to an actor. We've made this code and we've called it Blocky code, but we haven't actually attached it to any actor yet. So I'm going to click on Attach to Actor, click on Blocky, and click OK. Now I'm going to click here to edit my behavior, and I'm going to change the name of this to just called Move. And we'll understand why you want to rename those later on. So I'll save it again, and let's test it to see if everything actually works here. So there's Blocky. When I press the arrow keys, he moves up, down, left, right. And when I stop pressing a key, he stops, which is exactly what we wanted to happen. Now you'll notice one problem here is that if I go off the edge of the screen, Blocky disappears. And that could be a problem. So in the next tutorial, we'll cover how to make sure that Blocky stops moving when he reaches the end of the screen.